Since its inception, the development and evolution of the filmmaking process has done nothing but wonders to audiences all over the world. They call it movie magic, but behind the scenes, there exists an entire team of people who work tirelessly to enhance the experience and meet audience demand. One of the enhancements of the medium of film includes the inclusion of color in the film development process, which is what I will be discussing today. To begin, I would like to point out a stark difference in practice that may have not been noticed before. Richard Gill and Ryan Lamp released a review on Hollywood's adoption of color film in 2014. The message that they elucidated concerns the studio's slower acceptance of color film in contrast to their quicker embrace of sync sound. The transitional period between conversion of silent films to sound took 3 years. However, the conversion to color films from black and white took 3 decades. How could this be? Why wasn't the innovation of color not treated as revolutionary as sound was? It seems like an equally important breakthrough. One of the reasons for slower adoption was due to the extra financial costs of this new variety of film. In his report on coming to terms with color, William Johnson describes the early rise of Technicolor, a color film supplier, and their endeavors to convince major studios to use their innovation. The development and eventual use of color film was largely experimental at this stage. Directors were trying to gauge its future potential while juggling other film projects. According to their policy, Johnson states that Technicolor, quote, exercised tight control over the way its film was used, end quote, under the condition that filmmakers lease their equipment rather than purchase it. Technicolor exerted additional control in this process by, quote, developing, printing, and supervising the choice of colors for sets, costumes, and so on, end quote. Harsh regulations like these were one factor, and a crucial one, that slowed the adoption of color film. Another problem lay in the stylistic choices of the conventions of the major films. As Maria Braga observed in her critical report, color film was used mainly, quote, without any function but to give glamour to the image, end quote. A common complaint, as quoted by Stanley Cavell in Braga's report, states that, quote, movies in color seemed unrealistic because they were undramatic, end quote. Fantasy films, and in particular musicals, were the main genres associated with in-color films due to their ability to allow the audience to detach from reality and be transported into a happy-go-lucky, magical world. Black and white films, through their focus on drama, provided a largely serious tone in their plot lines. In 1935, Becky Sharp was filmed using the 3-strip Technicolor process. Michelle Butler describes the 3-strip film process when she explains that a special camera uses, quote, a beam splitter prism separated the incoming light onto 3 black and white negative films, thus creating separate color records from green, blue, and red. From the separation negatives, complementary dyes, magenta, yellow, and cyan, transferred onto a blank film to form the final imbibition print, end quote. Becky Sharp was the first feature film that used this 3-strip process. Although largely unsuccessful at the box office, it proved that Technicolor's 3-strip process had functionality which turned some heads in Hollywood to take color film into consideration. Some successful films using this process also include A Star is Born, 1937, Gone with the Wind, came out in 1939, and of course The Wizard of Oz, which also debuted in 1939. It wasn't until the emergence of television that the conversion to color fully took place. Gorham Kindom observes that broadcasting news on television color, quote, gave added realism in comparison to black and white, end quote. No longer were the two separated. Kindom continues, quote, color acquired its own illusion of reality, end quote. Presently, black and white films have a different connotation in contrast to their original use of just telling a story. Color films have now become the standard. Black and white films, more nostalgic. This separation should not cause obsolescence. Rather, it should be embraced as an appreciation of the progression of the medium as a natural step in the process of innovation. Thank you.